It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for October 26, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Xbox Game Pass continues to grow. Age of Mythology is back, and a whole lot more. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Lucy James from Giant Bomb, everybody. Lucy,
Hi.
I understand
Hello.
you have a new drink of choice. Explain, one, what it is, and two, how you come to such an important life decision.
Okay, so while we're kind of off there, I was explaining to Jeff that I have like this red on my lip because I bit my lip, and I have started to have like a glass of red wine on evenings, and I do enjoy a glass of the Snoop Red. It's the 19 Crimes Snoop Dogg red blend, and it is really nice. Like, I'm not even kidding. I had some friends from the UK come over, and we went wine tasting in Napa, and none of the wines that we had, maybe we just picked a bad tour, but none of the wines that we had were actually as nice as the Snoop Red. And
Hell yeah.
so last night I was playing a video game, and I was like, I'll just have a glass of Snoop Red. But because I've got this like bite in my lip, it just looks, like I don't know, been punched or something. It's really bad. And yeah, that's my tale of Snoop wine. But the good thing about Snoop wine is that in the same range, the 19 Crimes, there is a white wine. I believe it is a Chardonnay, and it's the Martha Stewart one.
Yes, okay. Now, that I do remember. That is incredible. That is so very good.
It's so good.
I believe, wine. Dan Riker just got into wine the other day, he said. So
I saw.
I think we have
Honestly, we've been inspired by the same person, Mike Mahardy.
Exactly. Mike Mahardy, a wine-fluencer, I believe is how he refers to himself.
I take it back. If he's calling himself that, I take it back.
Yes, that's actually all he insists that we all call him that. Listen, I'll do it. I respect what people ask me, but when I'm behind his back, I don't respect it and very much make fun of him for it.
Look, Jan is saying let's start a wine club, and I genuinely think like a video game wine club with all of these shitty tie-in wines and stuff. I think that could really work.
Yes, we can pair it with the Godfather game and Francis Ford Coppola's wine that one month. Yeah, all right, let's do it.
Sarah Jessica Parker has wine. Oh, the Breaking Bad guys have tequila.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, we can spread out a little bit. Metroid Merlot, says Paul W. Graham in chat. I love that.
Yeah.
Man, wine's pretty good. We went to Little Italy, and I'm like, I got there early, and I'm gonna order the table a bottle of wine. And I felt very good about that. I hadn't done that in a long time, and it was very pleasant. That. And we had a good time. All right, let's do the show. Before we get into the mess, though, let's explain what we do here each weekday. I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always catch the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Xbox made more money in the past 3 months than it ever has for a Q1 in its 20-year history. This comes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. Microsoft has announced its latest earnings result, and this includes reporting on how the Xbox business specifically is performing. The Xbox division saw a 4% overall increase in revenue. That reached $3.61 billion, and that's according to Windows Central, who originally reported this. According to Dom's Plane, who is a Twitter user that also does a lot of video game and business analysis, he explained, this is a new all-time record for revenue in a Q1 period for Xbox, dating back to the inception of Xbox more than 2 decades ago.
Microsoft's Q1 ends September 30th?
Yes, so because they go from...
they go April to...
Right, so
April to September?
April to September. April, no.
So Q1 financial year?
No, so their Q1, no, that would be, so July, August, September is their Q1.
Okay.
And companies mostly start in March, but some start in July, halfway through the year.
Because they feel like it.
Yeah, I think it's probably, at a certain point, you talk to your accountant, and they set it up one way forever ago, and that means it's just going to be that way forever, and some accountants, I think, and this is me guessing, I'm sure there are CPAs in chat who know exactly why it works this way, but, the tax, you file taxes in April, So maybe they want to just get it set up after April, and maybe because some companies want to do it well after April. So,
okay. I mean, yeah. Look, their tax affairs are much more complicated than mine.
Exactly.
They know what they do.
Yes, and somehow they still will often pay less than I do. Let's see. The Xbox hardware saw a 13% increase in revenue thanks to ongoing sales for Xbox consoles and accessories. Xbox content and services, however, saw a decline of 3% in revenue. Microsoft said the declines were attributed in part to lower first-party and third-party game sales. Microsoft also reported lower engagement hours during the period. However, higher monetization and growth in Xbox Game Pass subscriptions helped offset the overall declines. So a big quarter for Microsoft, but it's the kind of quarter where, okay, there's still not everything is growing. Game sales and other services related to games saw a bit of a decline, and that's definitely an area where they usually would want to continue to see growth no matter what, but there just wasn't a lot happening on that front, right? They just didn't release anything to really push those numbers. That's got to be affecting it, right?
Yeah, I mean, which was it? The E3 or something last year where Xbox showed off their calendar. Yeah, it was last year because it was all about 12 minutes was on there, and it was like, here's the major releases we're getting every month, and I don't think we had one of those kind of things this year, and it has been definitely a lot slower, certainly over the summer. There was still a lot of good things coming out on Game Pass, but really things didn't pick up until the last month or so. So I would see this number just, tis the season. It's gaming Christmas, and gaming Christmas lasts from October through to January. So yeah, I would see that. But interesting, like still growth in Game Pass. Lower engagement hours is the weird one. Maybe just because a lot of restrictions have kind of loosened up and people are just going outside. But also I think 2020 in terms of if you're looking at engagement hours, which is an awful sounding scary metric, but people were locked inside for the better part of 2 years with nothing to do. And now COVID certainly isn't over, but restrictions are much lower and lower. So, that number is going to balance out, I assume.
I think so. And, engagement hours, I think when you look, this is the summer months. And if you compare the summer of 2022 to the summer of 2021, you're right. Restrictions were lifted. People were treating the world differently. And of course, that was going to be reflected in how people engage with games. And that probably was the biggest reason why game sales were down, other than there probably not being a lot of things to choose from that got people super excited. Despite that, though, and I think this is the story here for Microsoft, Game Pass continues to grow even when they don't have the big new games going in there. And so it's like, what is selling Game Pass? Well, the hardware is selling. And as people get the new hardware, they are just getting Game Pass as a matter of course. They're just saying, hey, if I'm spending $300 or $500 on a new system that's in the Xbox ecosystem, 1 out of every 2, probably a higher percentage than even that, of people doing that are probably getting Game Pass right alongside it, and with the expectation that there will be more stuff to come. But for now, it's like, hey, there's a lot of stuff now thanks to Game Pass I can do with this investment I just made. And so that growth is probably helping while they wait for something like Starfield to come along and then supercharge that growth, which I think is probably the expectation, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think not only are you getting Game Pass when it's thrown in with consoles, you kind of get like a few free months and stuff. You can never underestimate why I like the power of subscription and being rolled into something, because a lot of those people are going to be the people who signed up for the dollar Game Pass deal and then just get rolled in and maybe forget for a while. And it's why, those subscription ending services are kind of all over the place recently. But yeah, there'll be so many people who will be subscribed and just forgot. They'll just fall into like this pattern, and then maybe they'll kind of log on and go, oh yeah, no, I have this. I might as well just play it. And so, it's a real foot in the door for them.
We did not get specific numbers related to Game Pass. They have, for the last several quarters, they've been saying it's one of the key things that is offsetting any declines. It continues to grow. So it's been a positive. That's as much as we know beyond them telling us they had 25 million subscribers in January of this year. But Satya Nadella did say, we saw usage growth across all platforms driven by the strength of console. And then he went on to say PC Game Pass subscriptions increased 159% year over year. And with cloud gaming, we're transforming how games are distributed and so on and so on. it's PC Game Pass is one they keep pointing out to triple, digit percentage growth pretty regularly. Before it was something like 300%. They're still maintaining a lot of that momentum. Seems like PC Game Pass is catching on. Although I remember when we heard these numbers before, that was something like 300% a couple months ago. It might have been half a year ago at this point. The word related to that was also Phil Spencer was still not even happy with those results. He wanted more and more and more. So I wonder if these if 159% in a time when they didn't have a lot of new stuff to put up for PC Game Pass was still is that a positive number, or is it still not quite meeting their expectations?
Yeah, I mean, 300% sounds really great, but if you don't have the subscriber numbers there, then 300% can sound incredibly impressive. But
exactly.
It's reality. It's just what is the sign up. But I mean, Game Pass Ultimate Game Pass Ultimate is an incredible deal, but it is $14.99 a month, which can be a bit hard for some people to swallow. $9.99 if you're primarily a PC gamer. I can see that being a much more tasty option. I couldn't think of a word. It's very early. Like a tastier option for the PC gamer, for the pervasive PC gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I imagine the uptick in PC is only going to grow, especially the offerings that you get. I mean, Epic Game Store does a free game every week. Steam has the sales. If Xbox are just going to have and continue to put stuff on there you can just have and download at your whim without having to pay extra, then that's going to be appealing. And it is appealing as someone who has PC Game Pass.
Yes, it's the kind of thing where I continue to use it as a way of discovering new things I wouldn't have otherwise. I think
we use it on Giant Bomb all the time because it's like, hey, does everyone have this?
Yep.
No. Hey, does everyone have PC Game Pass? Yes. Okay, download it. Here we go.
And it's kind of, we use it because we're our little network of people, and it's the kind of hey, we want to play this. I mean, that whole conversation you just had has got to be replicated among all kinds of Discord servers and people everywhere. Where they're like, hey, yeah, we play games together. Does everyone want to try this new thing? Well, how much is it? Well, you already have it because we all subscribed to Game Pass a few months back. Oh, okay, great. Or the one person who's left out, it's like, man, everyone who has Game Pass keeps playing stuff together. I keep getting left out. I need to get Game Pass one way or the other. Maybe I'll get an Xbox Series S, or maybe I'll just get it on PC. Obviously, I think that side of things continues to work. Whether it's working fast enough for Microsoft is probably still up in the air, but it's I think there's no chance that they are getting off this Game Pass ramp that they're on. This is the strategy for the next 10 years.
And Vampire Survivors is on there, so if you don't have it,
is it on console? I can't remember. Is that just PC Game Pass? I think it's just PC.
I believe it's just PC. I don't know if there is a
1.0. Maybe it could come to console
1.0, baby.
Soon. Yeah, exactly. I was playing it on the Steam Deck just this week.
That was my flight to and from New York.
Hell yeah!
It was just.
What did you play on?
Not to New York. Not to New York. Where did I go? I flew somewhere after. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Where did I go?
Where'd you go after New York? Is that when you went to Montreal, or did you have people from Montreal?
I don't know. I was on a flight.
Who could keep track of such things?
And I played Vampire Survivors. No, because I was off this show for like 2 months because I was going somewhere like every week or so, and I can't really remember. But whatever my last flight was, I did spend a hell of a lot of time on Vampire Survivors, and it is a great time.
Yes, it is. All right, Sony is building a new dev team, and let's see here. Let me get back over here to work with Visual Arts Studio and Naughty Dog on a AAA title. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. A new job listing for a senior producer role at PlayStation refers to a new team and states that it's being put together to work on a new project. Here's a quote from that job listing. Sony PlayStation is building a new internal game development team in partnership with PSS Visual Arts, that's PlayStation Studios Visual Arts, an award-winning full production group that specializes in animation, motion capture, cinematics, art, and scanning, the listing reads. This high-visibility project is being developed in collaboration with Naughty Dog. Though currently unannounced, we have a clear vision and plan to release. Using our existing expertise and premier talent, we will guarantee a high visual quality bar for the game and a compelling experience for our players. Lucy, is this Uncharted?
A new Uncharted?
A new Uncharted.
Mayhaps it could be. I don't know. I mean,
in collaboration with Naughty Dog is the thing that gets me, because it's like, maybe the studio needs that to get up and off the ground. They need that support, but why would Naughty Dog in any way support any other studio if it wasn't for a Naughty Dog game or a Naughty Dog's property?
Well, my question is, like, I always thought Naughty Dog did that, like, had their own mocap stuff. Like, I thought they had their own studio. They always did that. I don't know if they ever worked with PlayStation Visual Arts on that.
I think Visual Arts definitely has contributed some stuff to various games. But I don't think that's what this is. I think this is Visual Arts is finally getting the chance to step up like it always wanted to. Do
you think it's content for The Last of Us multiplayer?
It could be, but the way they make it sounds like this is like a new studio or a new team within Visual Arts making a new game on like primarily it's their game, and they are working with Naughty Dog on it, sure, but this is a AAA game coming from the Visual Arts team. Now the story with The Last of Us remake was that started at Visual Arts and then Naughty Dog took it over. And then before that, I was hearing that Visual Arts was like very much trying to pitch to Sony, let us make the next Uncharted game. And they got sort of saying, we'll see. And to the point where it seemed clear to the leadership there that wasn't going to happen. And then a couple of the leaders ended up leaving Sony and starting new studios elsewhere because of that. And so, there's always been this desire within Visual Arts Group to do their own stuff, and I think even Chris Scullion goes on to write some of that. While potentially unrelated, earlier this year, Naughty Dog's newly appointed recruiter seemingly hinted that Sony was planning future Uncharted releases. And this is a studio that wants to make their own game. So to me, it fits. Although I think, do people want more Uncharted? I think most people probably do, although I think there would be some backlash because I think people wanted to take a break. But I also think this is Naughty Dog just kind of handing off the reins to someone else, which feels like the right way to start up a new team at something like the Visual Arts Group.
But I mean, taking a break, Uncharted 4 was 2017?
Yeah.
18?
You're right.
2017, and so it has been quite a long time for that. 2016? Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Jesus. What is the passage of time?
Yep.
So, I think maybe we assume that Uncharted has been around just because A, it's such a huge franchise.
Right.
B, there was the movie. They've been re-releasing on PC recently, and it's a huge franchise for Sony. Nathan Drake is one of their absolute mascot characters. And so it would make all the sense in the world to bring it back. But I know that Naughty Dog, they want to be doing their own stuff. Like, they are fully committed to The Last of Us, and they're doing the whole multiplayer stuff. So could this be the PSS Visual Arts thing? Are they doing a Blue Point and wanting to make their own thing? Possible.
Yeah.
Very, very likely.
If it wasn't an Uncharted game, do you have any hunches about what this could be? Something new, and just so happens that Naughty Dog is really close to the studio and wants to help out? What?
Honestly, so if you think about the way that Sony is working right now compared to Xbox, who is just buying everyone, PlayStation has their set number of first-party studios. They have the big franchises. I don't know if they would want to take a risk as much on a new thing that's going to be to the AAA scale of something like an Uncharted or even a God of War, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it would make sense to me that it would be an Uncharted title.
Yes,
because
I'm
otherwise
having
you
a hard
get
time seeing anything but Uncharted personally.
Yeah, unless you get a Ready at Dawn situation, or even Days Gone was a big game. But yeah, so I don't know. I would be intrigued to see what it could be. But
yeah, me too.
I like Uncharted. Lost Legacy was my favorite though.
I like Uncharted. I haven't played Lost Legacy, so I'm looking forward to doing that on PC. Yes, I'm going to make that happen. I really enjoyed Uncharted 4. Before that, it was kind of like I bought stuff on Uncharted 1 and never tried Uncharted 2, which I know everyone says is their favorite. But I'm just going to go to Lost Legacy instead, and that's how I'm going to play it. So, excellent. This feels like the kind of thing where it'll take years and years and years before we hear about it. So,
100%.
This is going to be the poll question today. Regardless of this news, do you think that we get a new Uncharted game within the next 5 years, no matter what?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes.
I do too. All right. CD Projekt Red is remaking The Witcher in Unreal Engine 5. This comes from Andy Robinson of VGC. According to the company, the remake will be rebuilt from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5 and is currently in the early stages of development at the Polish studio Fool's Theory, where veteran Witcher series staff are involved. CD Projekt Red is providing full creative supervision, it said. It's been confirmed that the remake is the same title that was announced earlier this month as Canis Majoris. So they hinted that they were doing this. Now they've confirmed they're remaking it in Unreal Engine 5. This feels like the kind of thing where...
What? Sorry, breaking news from Tam. Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker have left Rocksteady.
Ooh, whoa, okay.
What? So Jamie Walker, co-founder of Rocksteady, along with Sefton Hill. Sefton Hill's creative director on all of the Arkham games and the upcoming Suicide Squad game.
Okay. So my thing with Rocksteady over the last couple of years is I've felt like there's been some weirdness with that studio. Now we did have, and not saying this is related, but we did have those reports a few years back of some toxic work culture there. And then ever since then, it just felt like that was unresolved. And at the same time, Suicide Squad, along with Gotham Knights, just kept getting pushed back. A really long time between entries or releases, shipped games from these studios and from Rocksteady specifically. I'm looking at. I'm trying to find the news right now.
Just dropped it in Discord chat.
Okay, thank you. Let's take a look.
So there's a blog.
Let me bring that up here. Discord. Oh, wrong thing. Yep, there we go.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is that's some big news. You know what? Let's finish this story and then
let's finish Witcher and go back.
Let's finish Witcher and then we'll go to that. So, Canis Majoris, they talked about this. So we knew they were doing something here. This feels to me like you work with this studio, Fool's Theory, that involved some former CD Projekt Red developers. You get some experience there with making a Witcher game in Unreal Engine 5. Just remake the first one. A lot of the structure of what the game should be already exists, so you can just focus on the technical side of it. And then once you learn, some lessons, you can apply that in full to the next Unreal or engine-powered Witcher new games. And then you could also bring in this Fool's Theory to work as a support studio on that going forward as well. So it's like this seems like just a good strategic move, similar to what happened with The Last of Us 1 remake. Where it's, hey, we need to put this team to work. The people that aren't going to be ready to work on the next game that Naughty Dog is making, well, we can give them something to work on in the form of The Last of Us Part 1. So, this makes a lot of sense to me. Is this something you think we're going to see more of? I mean, obviously remakes are big business in video games, right?
Yeah, remakes are very big business, and it's the broader conversation of being left behind on old hardware, even being left behind in the sense that, like, if you played The Witcher 1 and even The Witcher 2 now, it doesn't feel necessarily as good as it would to a modern gamer because it has kind of more old-fashioned sensibilities, right? It is of the time, but is that enough to lock you out? Like, some people would be put off by that and wouldn't be able to experience the story. And so I'm all for, like, taking a game and modernizing it and bringing it to a modern console, or like bringing it to the modern generation, right? Even there are games where they've done that incrementally, like Shadow of the Colossus. It was a PS2 game, then remastered for PS3, and then they remade it for PS4 and like tweaked it and made it a little bit more modern and a little bit easier to control. And so, and yeah, did you know gaming? And in Twitch chat it says Witcher 1 is now exceptionally rough, to put it lightly. And
yes,
so
people have had a hard time going back to that, and
it's PC only,
right? And there's an audience that would love to go back to that after watching those shows. So it just makes so much sense in terms of locking in that the business synergy that CD Projekt Red is really well known for at this point, in terms of putting out content on one medium that then feeds a ton of people into their games. Witcher 3 was obviously a beneficiary
enormous
there. Yes, but there's no reason that that same audience wouldn't also go back to Witcher 1 and 2 if those games were easier to go back to. And I'm sure that audience was saying, like, hey, I wish those games were easier to go back to. I want to play on my PlayStation. Let me play that on my PlayStation, and they'll be able to do that with this.
But also, it's easier than, I know CD Projekt Red, like, they are working on something that is like another thing, right? Another game, and like they're working on
They did
the new Witcher, and
yes,
they did that whole blog post.
They did that whole blog post announcing like their next 15 years worth of stuff, and there was a couple of things in there like that. Yes.
And like that is smart. They know the value of the Witcher IP, but like, it is potentially, I mean, obviously making a game from the ground up is very difficult, but if you already have the building blocks that people like from The Witcher 1, that is a lot of work that's already kind of done for you.
Mm-hmm.
It is a guaranteed base of people, like not install base, but like a base of people who are interested, not just from The Witcher 3, but also, like you said, from the show. It's a smart play. They know the value of that IP, and it's a way to, I don't know, it doesn't feel like they're milking it to me just yet. There is a lot of Witcher, but people are clamoring for a lot of Witcher right now. And so it makes sense. And also, we could have the broader conversation about preservation and etc. But it does feel nice that they are making it, and like they're making it, and hopefully more accessible to more people, because like a lot of those older games are not necessarily very accessible. So
they did mention it will take some time before we're ready to share more about the game, which of course, like you based on where they are with this stuff, you could tell this is going to take years for them to prepare it. But again,
have they abandoned Red Engine now?
Yeah,
because like this is
they are in the process of doing so. Yes.
Yeah.
So the next, they've already said the next Witcher game is going to be Unreal. And that's that's the underlying subtext here of these announcements, is that they need to get ready to move to Unreal. They need to build up a bank of knowledge, a bank of experience working with that engine. And the good thing there is they can pull a lot of talent from the industry that is going to be very familiar with Unreal in a way that they weren't familiar with Red Engine. And that, of course, that's a benefit. But you have a lot of talent within your studio that you want them to get up to speed on working on Unreal, and you have to develop new processes and things like that. And so this is just a good run, like a practice run. It's not even a practice run, but it's a good learning on the job experience for something that is a little bit lower stakes, because again, you're not trying to do a new unproven entity. This is a game that people liked when it came out, and they will like it again if it is playable and smooth, and make some key improvements to that game, considering how long it's been since it came out. All right, let's hop over here. We are now doing the Rocksteady Studios departures. I'm going to read this tweet first from Rocksteady Studios Games on Twitter. A message from Jamie and Sefton. We wanted you, the Rocksteady fans, to hear it first. We have decided to leave Rocksteady. From the day we founded the company all the way to today, Rocksteady has been our life and soul. I'm going to go over to the blog post. It's kind of off center here, so I'll go back here. I have some important news to share with you about Rocksteady Studios. Co-founders and studio heads Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker have made the decision to leave the studio. We are very proud to have worked alongside Jamie and Sefton, who have led their talented teams to create some of the best games in the world. From the critically acclaimed hit Batman Arkham franchise to their evolutionary thinking with Suicide Squad, they have been great leaders of the team. Visiting Rocksteady Studios has always been a highlight for me personally. The attention to detail, the energy of the people, and a sense of what it's like to be in a high-performing studio. They have committed to the highest quality and excellence across all facets of game development, while ensuring an outstanding culture of caring for their employees. With Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League nearly finished, they have both decided to leave Rocksteady at the end of 2022 and will begin a new adventure in gaming. We have the utmost respect and gratitude for Jamie and Sefton and wish them all the best in their new endeavor. And like many fans, we look forward to what they do next. This seems to go on to say Rocksteady is well positioned. Let's see, director of production, original founding member of the studio, Nathan Burlow will step up into the role of studio director, and Darius Sagian will take the reins of studio product director. And so they got new people ready to go. There's some quotes here, but I mean, okay. Rocksteady is owned by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is just a mess, continues to be a mess, even as some of their games did really well. Multiverses and Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, both were massive, massive hits. And yet you never got the sense that, okay, well now Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment has this strong foundation that it's standing on. I was still waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I bet a lot of people working at the studios were doing that. That's what I heard in the in the wake of all of the reorganization that was happening with the studios is people just thought it was a mess, and no one knew what was going to happen to their studios, to their jobs, to their games. And they knew that they were being shopped around, but that's all they knew, and no one knew if they were still going to be at Warner Brothers a week from now, a year from now. And so I bet getting this game basically done and then getting out of Dodge and starting up your new thing as the people who founded Rocksteady, there's still a lot of investors out there who are going to back you, and you're going to be able to do your own thing and start up something fresh and then have that bought 10 years from now by Microsoft or whatever. So this makes a lot of sense. What's your take here? What do you think is happening?
I mean, yeah, it's every time I hear something more about Warner Brothers, my heart kind of drops a little bit for the people who work there and are currently dealing with all of the uncertainty. And what's his name? Zaslav? It sounds like a Batman villain.
He does.
He's, making all these tax write-offs, and allegedly there are more coming, certainly on the film division. And I don't know if games are going to be the next one to get hit, especially for a studio. I don't know. Rocksteady's pretty... It's big, but it's not massive. Zaslav is a herb. You're correct, Superstring.
Yes.
But like... I can't imagine like the pressures of having to create a game and have the pressures of people like that coming down on you as well. The timing is quite surprising, like, a week after the whole Gotham Knights stuff. I know different studio, but maybe, I don't know, both of them at the same time feels kind of weird. And there have been rumors of, people saying that Rocksteady's culture is not necessarily the best. It's a weird one. Very much so.
Yeah.
Especially because Sefton has been the creative director and helmed all of those, like all the Arkham games, and has an instrumental role in Suicide Squad, which is coming out next year, a game that's been delayed a bunch. It sucks for the folks who are left at Rocksteady to kind of pick up the pieces, because this is a very big change and a lot more eyes are going to be on them, I feel. And a lot of eyes have been on them since the Warner Brothers stuff.
Right, and this is a studio that has consistently delivered, and expectations are going to be wild for Suicide Squad. It's been a long time since their last game. They're putting something out.
15, 16?
Yeah,
because if you count Batman VR, if you count Batman VR, but even that was
even that
2-hour experience.
Yeah, man. So we'll see, and then we'll see what these guys end up going to do. I'm sure they're going to start their own thing. Someone in chat mentioned that, does James Gunn and the other guy taking over DC Comics stuff, which included games under Warner Brothers, does that have anything to do with it? And it's like,
I think that's too soon to say, really.
It's too soon to say, and I have no idea. But I'm like, I wonder, like, maybe did these guys think they were maybe in line to at least move up the totem pole a little bit in terms of their place and overtaking all of DC Games' stuff at Warner Brothers, and now like, well, no, we're going to put the movie guy in charge of that and the movies, and you're going to continue to work under them. I don't think that's what happened, but then maybe. I mean, the timing is curious, but it could be coincidence.
It would be surprising to me, because James Gunn has a storied history with video games, and I think he absolutely sees the value in video games, especially a studio like Rocksteady. Tam says they're going to go make a Marvel game. That's how it works, isn't it? So
Yep.
Very good.
All right.
It would be quite funny.
Yes, let's keep moving along here. Capcom continues its march to 10 years of consecutive growth. This one comes from Andy Robinson over at VGC. For the 3 months ended September 30th, 2022, net sales were down 29.9% year over year, which is to about $333 million. Operating income was down 24.3%, and ordinary income was down 22.6%. The company attributed the decline to the release of a new major title in the same period in the previous year. That is almost certainly Resident Evil Village, so it was always going to be a tough comparison. But the company says that it still expects growth for the year, thanks to upcoming flagship release Resident Evil 4, which is due to release right around the end of the fiscal year on March 24th, 2023. The company, of course, also has Street Fighter 6 and Exo Primal coming next year, but those will likely launch after March, so after the fiscal year ends, and won't contribute to those results. During its last quarter, Capcom sold 21.3 million units of game software, marking a year-over-year increase. The company achieved this with the release of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, as well as through digital sales, including sales of catalog titles composed primarily of entries in major franchises such as Monster Hunter Rise. They did have some numbers here for games like Sunbreak topped 4.4 million units cumulatively sold. Monster Hunter Rise surpassed 11 million units, and Resident Evil 2 has now exceeded 10 million units sold. So Resident Evil 2 still not quite at that Luigi's Mansion 3 number. Maybe one day when it becomes a real game, it'll finally get there. 11 million for Luigi's Mansion 3. But this is, sales are down right now compared to last year for Capcom because Resident Evil Village came out last year. When Resident Evil 4 comes along, that first week is going to be a massive explosion of sales, probably new records set for Resident Evil and for Capcom. They're going to have probably no problem of making up the difference from what they're experiencing right now. And 10 years of consecutive growth. This is a company that has a vision and is executing on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just looking at the way Capcom is approaching, they've kind of... what we talked about remakes earlier in the show, and you've got to do hats off to Capcom for the way that they've been handling Resident Evil. All the news from coming out of the Resident Evil 4 remake preview event from a couple weeks ago is incredibly positive. They are carrying on that momentum, making really smart changes, maybe with the exception of some of Resident Evil 3 remake, but regardless, it's really just kind of nice to see. And also people are very, very happy about the way and how Street Fighter 6 feels. People are super, super excited about it. I don't know, it's just nice to see them kind of go from strength to strength.
Yes.
So good for them.
What do you think the...
Bring Okami back.
Bring Okami back. In 5 years, is Capcom still maintaining or growing, or do you think that there's going to be a little bit of a figuring out what life is like after this series of Resident Evil remakes?
What do we remake now?
Yeah, they run out of them eventually. Yeah.
I mean, I just hope they get weird with it with Resident Evil.
I think you're right. I think they are learning a lot of lessons that they can apply in new and different ways than just remakes going forward. Weird and different is a really good strategy, right? I agree. Yeah.
Tam says Devil May Cry remake. What about? I jokingly said Okami as well there, but did they announce Dragon's Dogma 2? They did.
Yes, they did. Right? Yes. Yeah, they had the T-shirts for it. So.
Oh yeah.
There are Dragon's Dogma feels like a franchise that is set to break out with the next one, right? It could be like a mini Monster Hunter World sort of thing. Obviously not going to be Monster Hunter World. A few things are, but it's going to be. It could replicate that to a slightly lesser degree, and that would be another win for Capcom. So. They obviously have a lot of stuff to pull from, but this cadence of Resident Evil remake, new Resident Evil remake, new Resident Evil,
Dino Crisis,
Dino Crisis.
Everyone's talking about Dino Crisis.
I wonder if Dino Crisis has that pull. I just don't know.
I feel like if they had timed a Dino Crisis remake with Jurassic World or whatever, the first one that everyone really liked. That would have been massive. Yes. But now, unfortunately, we're in the world of Jurassic World Dominion, and everyone hates it again. So
you got to make a Dino Crisis game about what is it? A plague of insects eating crops. Well, I never saw Dominion, but I understand it's a very weird movie. Are
you joking? That's in that movie.
Apparently that's not in the movie. Apparently that is the movie. The whole point of the movie is that a bunch of insects that eat your crops, genetically modified. Yeah. I mean, listen, you get together the old crew of Jurassic Park and the new crew of Jurassic World, and what do you make? You make a Colin Trevorrow film. Oh boy. Okay, let's keep moving here.
Biblical plague movie.
Yeah, I watched the takedown of Book of Henry, Colin Trevorrow's movie that he did before the Jurassic Worlds, and or maybe did it after the first Jurassic World. Either way, it's a real rough movie, but it's rough in some really fun ways. That's Dan Olsen did that video. I recommend it to everybody. Check that out. Gotham Knights takes number 2 in a week of fresh releases. This is for UK physical game sales. This comes from Daniel Pardis at gamesindustry.biz. FIFA 23 has held on to the top spot in the UK physical charts for a third week, despite a 19% decline in sales. There was a substantial number of brand new releases last week. That included Gotham Knights, which entered the chart at number 2 following its launch on October 21st, as well as Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which took third place, having launched the day before. WB's Montreal Batman title sold particularly well on PS5, with 78% of its total sales coming from that platform. The remaining 22% came from Xbox Series X. I wonder if the physical sales are going to keep leaning towards PlayStation 5 because the Series S is sold so well. Now, obviously, PlayStation 5 Digital Edition exists, but it's I don't think it accounts for the same percentage of PlayStation sales as the Xbox Series S does for Xbox, especially in markets where Xbox is a little bit weaker and where people would be like, well, I might get an Xbox, but I'll get the cheap one to go alongside my real console, the PlayStation 5. So I bet that's going to keep, these numbers are going to keep like looking like this, I think, for a lot of games coming forward. Obviously, things were always going to lean towards PlayStation in the UK, but 78% to 22%, that sounds like a lot of people who might be getting that game are getting to digital because they can't play discs on their system.
It's also surprising because the PS5 version is the worst version.
Right. I mean,
I played it on PS5 and I was like, woof.
Yeah, people are going to buy where they can get it, but that had it was the consistency of the performance, right? That was the big issue.
Oh, yeah. When you're in the open world, specifically when you're in the bat cycle, just like the pop in, the slowdown, like you're barely hitting those 30 frames.
26 frames per second is the tired sword. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's like the N64 all over again. This is not too surprising. A brand new game that takes place in the Batman universe. It should be number 2, at least behind FIFA. That sounds right. I think the real test will be going forward. Like what legs does it have? We saw in the NPD report on Friday that Saints Row in the United States did have some legs. It went from number 2 to number 7. I think it was number 2 and then number 7. It might have been number 1 the month before that. But either way, it was still in the top 10 a month later, and I kind of wasn't expecting that. So that's a pretty good sign for Saints Row. Gotham Knights feels like, even with the reviews, even with a lot of the talk around it, it should be able to do as well as Gotham Knights, or I'm sorry, as well as Saints Row, right?
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, I wonder... Saints Row, got bashed a little bit because it wasn't necessarily the best game, but it's a good podcast game. It's a good podcast game. And I feel like it's going to find its discount price and people are just going to buy it just because they want to have like an open world wacky game. And I think, it'll continue to have and find that audience. Gotham Knights, though, needs some work to at least fix the frame rates and stuff and at least fix the bugs. But, there are some fundamental issues in that game that I don't think can be properly.
I'm gonna go play.
I mean, you'll call me Rob says, could Gotham Knights pull a Cyberpunk and be good in 2 years? It has to sell. So, like, I mean, despite all the issues with Cyberpunk, it sold a hell of a lot, and so
it was like No Man's Sky, where like it sold so much it justified investing a lot to fix it, right?
Yeah, but remains to be seen if Gotham Knights is gonna do that.
Yeah,
I hope that it kind of does. Like, the heart of a good game is in there, but it's just messy stuff. And all the stuff we talked about earlier with Warner Brothers, I don't necessarily understand.
Who's going to have the heart to put that much effort into that game to save it over 2 years? That'd be rough at WB.
Yep.
Other games, Plague Tale Requiem also launched on October 17th. It entered the charts at number 5. That puts it above what its predecessor, Plague Tale Innocence, did. It entered the chart at number 9 when it launched, and that was during a quiet month. So it seems like a lot more people paying attention to a Plague Tale now. Let's see here.
I really, really want to play that because I really enjoyed the first one. I only played that in like August, and it was great. And I hear that this one also great.
Yes, this one, the story is maybe also launched on Game Pass, right? So sales for the sequel triumphed on PS5 with 90% of its first week copies shifted on that platform, and the remaining 10% coming from Xbox Series X. The rest of those people just getting on Game Pass, right? So yeah. The final big release of the week was the Switch. Was for the Switch and the current generation version of Persona 5 Royal, bringing the game back up to number 6 in the charts. 79% of the sales of the 2019 JRPG were generated on the Nintendo Switch.
Hell yeah!
All right, let's move along here to the first look at the Fallout show from Amazon Prime Video. I got this right here.
Here we go. Here we go.
This is from Prime Video and Kilter Films. Congratulations and happy 25th birthday. We made something special for the occasion. Here is a look at the Fallout show. It is a vault. I mean, it looks very much like Fallout. And of course, I just slapped my keyboard and the picture. But yeah, I'll watch this as long as it continues to be like this, and then if it's
I will watch it as research to see how they're gonna handle the Mass Effect show.
yes, there you go. I think this is it's good fodder for a show. It has a lot of good questions that you can answer in a lot of fun narrative ways. So hey, just go ahead and make that, and I'll tune in.
Neat. Yeah, it's I don't know. I wish the news cycle, I wish they'd give us a trailer and not all of us just be like, oh my god, there's an image.
Yep.
And there's someone in a vault.
Yep.
And there's a suit. Vault 33 though. Maybe it's some, Illuminati shit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's my guess.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Well, that's good because it has a certain sort of central things, but then also it could be anything because of the vault concept. And it's like you could just do anything with any vault. And yeah, I am.
There is some really fucked up stuff in those vaults.
Yes, there is. All right. Age of Mythology Retold has been announced. This comes from Haley Williams at GameSpot. Age of Mythology is finally getting its very own definitive edition with Age of Mythology Retold. Xbox announced yesterday as part of its 25th anniversary broadcast. Released in 2002, Age of Mythology brought a fantastical take on the classic Age of Empires formula, with playable cultures based off Greek, Egyptian, and Norse mythology. Players could create mythical units by spending a new resource called Favor, which was earned by praying to or honoring a god of choice. And now it's coming back. This is something I heard a long time ago, and people would ask, like, hey, this should be happening. Something should be happening with Age of Mythology. Well, here we are. They got through all the Age of Empire stuff, and now they're doing Age of Mythology, which makes some sense. I always wanted to try Age of Mythology, never actually did. So I'm excited that it's getting getting a new coat of paint because I will check in on it now.
Yeah, I'm never really an Age of Empires or Age of Mythology person. I was more Caesar 3.
Hell yeah.
Caesar 3. Played a lot of Caesar 3. So I'm very down to try it. Like, I also didn't really have very easy access to a PC when I was younger, at least like in terms of like games that I wanted to buy. It was basically as soon as I had The Sims, that was all my parents ever bought for me. And so I am really excited to see a new coat of paint. And yeah, I did see Ben Hansen from MinMax, super excited. This is one of his favorite games of all time. And he was super stoked about this. Game. Yeah, it's a very Hansen game. So I'm happy that he's happy. No,
yeah, everyone's happy when Ben Hansen is happy. He's got to go to Dan Riker's house apparently this week, so he's not going to be happy. And then this happens, so it should offset it a little bit. There we go. And then meanwhile, Age of Empires 2 and 4 are headed to Xbox consoles in 2023 from Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. As part of that 25th anniversary celebration for the Age of Empires series, Microsoft announced that Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition and Age of Empires 4 will be headed to the Xbox console. There's a quote where they say, "We knew that bringing the complexity of RTS to Xbox consoles was a massive task and one we had to approach carefully and thoughtfully. The team has been working hard to bring an experience that not only feels great using a controller, but also teaches players how to play on Xbox. A new tutorial designed specifically for controller input and paired with a new user experience for console will help players get started." So yeah, that makes sense. They also say they're going to tune the AI for people playing on controller, which also makes a lot of sense. RTS on console has been done now several times. There's pathways to make that happen, and that audience has shown that they're willing to play at least a portion of that audience. And now you can also plug your keyboard and mouse into your consoles, and they just work. Yep. So do that if it really comes down to it. Yep.
Also, Steam Deck just.
Yes.
Bluetooth keyboarded if you really want, or just play it on Steam Deck.
There you go. I'm going to play StarCraft 64 on the Steam Deck. That's how I'm going to do it. Overwatch 2 players criticized Blizzard for a $26 Kiriko cosmetic bundle. This comes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot, as well as Lucy James's Heart, where it's apparently they're just trying to rip it in half. Overwatch 2's new Halloween Terror event began today, but fans are complaining about one of the new cosmetic bundles that carries a premium price tag that's more than fans had hoped. In particular, one of the new cosmetic bundles is the Kiriko bundle that includes a spooky new witch skin for the hero. This bundle costs 2,600 credits, which works out to around $26. The Kiriko outfit is an ornate skin that gives Kiriko a witch's hat and matching boots and clothing for the spooky season. The witch skin cannot be purchased outside of the bundle. What do we do here?
Oh, for fuck's sake. It's like, we've had live service games for a long time. Surely they would have looked at what other people are charging in their stores. And it's just like, I feel for the team. I do. Because nothing about this launch has been smooth sailing. The game's really good. But $26 for essentially a cosmetic bundle? Like, what is in the bundle? What is in the bundle?
Yeah,
you get the skin.
You look at the skin, and then no one seems to care about any of the other things in there. Maku does point out $20 or more for a cosmetic bundle is nothing new for free-to-play games, as Call of Duty, Warzone, Fortnite, and Apex Legends all offer bundles priced similarly. But it does seem like people just want to say, I just want to buy that one skin for less money total. And a lot of these other games do usually offer that. Like, you can buy the bundle, of course, but then you can also buy things individually. I've seen that in Fortnite since I've started playing Fortnite a lot. So I would have expected it to work the same way in something like Overwatch at this point.
Okay, hang on. So first of all, it's bundle 5. It's 2,600 coins. That's 29% off. First of all.
Okay. Real quick, Dr. Randall says Fortnite absolutely has bundle-only skins. Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like,
still learning.
Yeah, so you've got the witch skin. You have a spray and a weapon charm that looks like a cat. Very cute. There's some kind of icon. Oh no, it's not a spray. Sorry, it's a the little icon that goes next to your name.
Right. Okay.
And a seasonal highlight intro. Okay, so it's not just a skin.
No,
there is more to it, and like, if you added all those up using coins that you would unlock just from leveling up or whatever, yeah, that would actually be a pretty penny. Maybe it's just because people are not. I don't know, the transition to the free-to-play model and seeing a real world digits slapped on those stuff is like very jarring for a bunch of people, and I totally get it. I just wish this wasn't the conversation. I think there's a very good way of doing I think there's a very smart way of doing free play stuff, and I feel like sometimes a lot of people do just kind of want to leap down the throats of the Overwatch team just because they're Blizzard, and that is fair and valid. But yeah, I feel like there would have been a smarter way to price this stuff and to put it out there to make it a little bit more appealing, to not make it look like you're trying to charge. And like, I'm not trying to diminish the work, like the character art that needs to go into this. Like, this would have been planned months in advance. It is a lot of work, but $26.
I wonder
if you want to spend that on a skin, totally allowed to do it.
Yeah, I wonder if this is them sort of negotiating a little bit with their audience and starting high and knowing but also, let's see what we can get away with.
But also, I mean, like, people are not happy right now with the amount of coins that you get for participating and actually playing the game, and that's really where the whole thing is getting. That's really where people are getting mad about it, because with loot boxes, at least with the boxes, it was, you'd get this amount, it would be very easy, you'd level up in maybe 1-2 games. With this, it's not as easy, you're not getting as much, and then to see these prices in the store, it's like that's gonna piss people off.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, at the end of the day, if that's the thing, like the halves, if you have the money and you can buy it and you enjoy it, not gonna yuck your yum. But it's more of the people who do not have the ability, or like don't necessarily want to pay that much money, because also at the end of the day, it is a first person game, and you won't be able to actually see yourself in the spiffy outfit that you just bought.
And I mean, they're gonna have to teach their audience what to expect, and other games have done that. A lot of people bringing up Valorant in chat, where it's like they do the same thing.
Marvel Heroes had $70 skins.
Yeah, I think it's like you never hear about the complaints there because the audience just gets accustomed to it. And the Overwatch audience has definitely never been made accustomed to this yet, and they were accustomed to a different way of doing things. These events would come along, and you would have the event-specific loot boxes. And then a lot of the most engaged players were just playing one way to get a lot of loot boxes, and they would unlock a lot of loot boxes just naturally by playing the game. So they had not much to complain about. Here it's like, well, we're gonna take that away from you, and you might have liked that. We're gonna take that away from you, and we're gonna give you this other thing, and now we're gonna be extracting more money from you, specifically the player who wants to engage with our game the most. And it's like, there was always gonna be this backlash. I bet they anticipated this, and they're like, let's just set the price high because they're gonna get mad at us almost no matter what. for when we try to set it at a price that's equivalent to what other games are doing. And here we are. We'll see what they price these similar skin bundle at the next event. If it's also $26 or if it's a little bit lower.
I mean, they are. They're listening. They
Yes.
see it, and so it depends on if they change it or not. I mean, we mentioned COD earlier and some of the skin packs and whatever that they have, and like COD won't necessarily change because COD is a proven juggernaut. This is a very weird transitional time for Overwatch.
Yeah.
Maybe they will listen.
Yep, I agree.
I'll
tell you what, Overwatch had a rough launch. You know what didn't have a rough launch? Marvel Snap, a game from...
I regret downloading it.
Yeah. That game, again, I've said it a bunch this week, but just designed by friggin' genius maniacs that could predict every single problem. Obviously, it was in testing for a very long time. It just felt so well considered. It feels like a Blizzard game. It feels like it was made by old Blizzard. And so it's like...
It's Ben Brode, right?
Ben Brode, yep. And it's people that have those lessons and has that experience. And there are a lot of those studios now that have spun off of Blizzard. And it's like, oh, okay, this is the industry just working as... well, I'm going to do a thing about it. But yeah, that's just the industry working the way it's going to work, where the people that don't want to work at Blizzard anymore are going to take all that experience, go do things at new studios. And we might have a pretty good golden age of those kinds of games coming from those studios. It just won't be under the Blizzard name. It'll just be from that Blizzard lineage. And that's
just waiting for Kaplan's new thing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get to the poll from yesterday. Do video game spoilers actually spoil the fun for you? 62% said yes, 38% said no. I am mostly in the no camp, although I would like usually to not know things about the mechanics later on in like Super Mario Odyssey. I didn't want to see some of the things I was going to be taking over. But even when I did see it, I got excited about the idea of getting there. So my answer to this would be no, although I get why so many people are a yes. Where are you at on this spectrum?
I mean, it's funny you say that because I'm playing God of War Ragnarok at the minute, right? And so we're having conversations at work where we're planning coverage, and everyone is being so mindful of spoilers as we're talking to each other, which makes it very difficult to coordinate coverage. But I think for me, it kind of goes game by game, because if it's a game that I'm not necessarily that interested in, I don't mind a spoiler, because that to me kind of like helps me decide if I'm gonna play it or watch it. And I think, if it comes to if it's a narrative game that I have some investment in, like I don't want to know anything about Plague Tale Requiem. The only thing I know is that like it's really like the story is really good, and the ending is meant to be wild. I'm like, okay, cool. That has reinforced my decision to play it. But I don't know. I've got a kind of a weapon of a mother who, I'm not going to spoil, but, I told her once that I was going to watch, whatchamacallit? The David Lynch show. Laura Palmer.
Yes, Twin Peaks.
I told my mom I was going to watch Twin Peaks. She immediately told me who done it. Like, as a response. And I can't say that I am free of this evil, because I accidentally did that to Tamor when he was talking about the Stephen King, the Dark Tower, and I told him the ending. I thought he'd finished it, and so the
Tamor was in chat earlier. Yeah. He just answered the question. He's not yelling at you, which almost makes me sound like he's more disappointed in you than mad. So that's maybe worse.
No, it was. I wake up in the middle of the night and I remember that moment. But anyway, so spoilers. Yeah, he was also on like book 5, and I feel really bad.
Wow.
But I didn't mean to do it. I don't know why I did it. Anyway, spoilers for me. I don't know. I kind of stopped. There was a long time that I worked in entertainment coverage, and I would lament having to watch a trailer, because Marvel, DC, Star Wars, they just put everything in those trailers because they want to entice you. They want to show you the best bits. But then if you look at horror, Hereditary, for example, one of the greatest trailers I've ever seen, doesn't tell you shit about what that movie is. So yeah, it depends. It depends for me. I kind of limit myself on trailers as best I can. But but then again, I am on the internet. And so for a show like, I was watching The Leftovers recently. I deliberately did not tweet I was watching The Leftovers because I needed to experience that. But then there's some stuff where I'm like, I don't care. That was a long-winded way. I'm sorry.
No, please, it's fine. I did read this research once where story spoilers don't spoil stories, and it's basically they.
I remember that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's because every situation is going to be different, but they did spoil a story that people probably weren't anticipating before. But they spoiled the story, and the people who had the story spoiled enjoyed reading the book more. And I had that happen with me when I went to go watch I guess that would be Unbreakable has a follow-up movie, a secret follow-up movie. I guess at this point everyone knows it, but when I found that out about that movie, I'm like, oh, that's a secret sequel to that. I went to go watch it, and I enjoyed it so much more because I knew I could see all the connective stuff, and so I felt like I was in on it, and I could read like the way the writing was. Specifically trying to lead you there without fully taking you there, and I could close those loops, and that felt very rewarding as a watching experience. Not everything's going to be that, though. Of course, people care about spoilers. All right, let's do a new poll for tomorrow. Oh, you know what? Let's not do it as that. Let's do it as this. Do you think a new Uncharted game comes out in the next 5 years? Game Mess Mornings, and then we'll go yes, no. And we'll answer that tomorrow. I'm going to tweet it now. In the meantime, Lucy, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. You got anything happening this week that we should talk about?
There's no Jeffs today. I'm sorry. We will be back next week. I think that's it from me this week. I'm working on like a history of God of War thing over on GameSpot. But I'll be around. Oh, podcast will be good this week. The GameSpot podcast will be good this week. We might have a special guest, so please be excited for that one. But otherwise, I'm just going to be hanging out.
I think we're doing Eternal Darkness right now, right?
Yes.
So we're going to be doing Eternal Darkness. Look out for that, everybody. I also think we're watching Hellraiser 2 tonight. I need to get set up. I'm so busy, but I think, yes, I'll try to get that set up, and we'll watch that. So that'll be a live film in 40s. So tune in for that. I really enjoyed Hellraiser 1. It was very, very, very good. So
I need to watch the new one. Apparently that's really good.
It is really good. Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out after I get through 2 here. And so, yeah, tune in for that. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.